And welcome to another edition of Weekly Pulse. I'm Ralphie Aversa. Yes, the NFL regular season is winding down and it is getting exciting. I mean, for crying out loud, we have a Browns-Giants game that just got flexed to Sunday night next weekend. Speaking of the G-Men, we'll chat with former NFL wide receiver Victor Cruz, and we'll even take a trip down memory lane as he relives one of his favorite moments from Super Bowl 46. Then we'll keep things somewhat centered around New York with a guy who led the American League last year in home runs. Pretty good 2020 for Luke Voight, especially considering he played a lot of it hurt. We'll ask him about that, and we'll get his thoughts on the upcoming 2021 season. And then a little media on media. ESPN's been in the headlines between the pandemic and, of course, the number of layoffs that have happened at the company. We'll chat with flagship anchor Sage Steele about those layoffs and the importance of covering sports during these difficult times. But first, let's get to the big news coming out of Philadelphia.
It's not surprising that the Eagles decided to go with rookie Jalen Hurts over Carson Wentz this Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. After all, Wentz has been pretty much awful this season. He ranks near the bottom of the NFL in several statistical categories, while Hurts provided a spark that Doug Peterson was looking for when he replaced Wentz midway through the third quarter, leading a touchdown drive and actually having a chance to enable the Eagles to tie the game against the Packers before losing 30-16. But it does have some serious implications going forward. First of all, Peterson did not say whether Hurts would be the quarterback for the rest of the season, but there's a really good chance that he will be. And also, what does it mean for next season? After all, Wentz has a huge contract that kicks in next season. He'll count $34.7 million against the salary cap, and it would be a lot. Add another $25 million on top of that if the Eagles were to release him. And obviously, it'll be hard to trade that contract considering that Wentz has already lost his job. So it could be an uncomfortable situation. At the very least, we're looking at a quarterback competition going into next season. And, those things sometimes can divide a team. It'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out. But for now, Jalen Hurts is the quarterback going forward, and the Eagles are hoping that he'll provide the spark to turn around their 3-8-1 season so far.
So after a 2-1 last week, we're back in the winning column, and let's get another. I'm Lorenzo Reyes, and I've been covering the NFL for 7 years now, and every week this season, I'm going to hit you with the 3 bets I feel most confident in, my locks of the week. And let's kick this off this week with the team that over the last 3 is suddenly looking nice. The Washington football team has won their last 3 straight up and against the spread. They're traveling out west, and on the other side is a Niners team that I do like, but they're still so banged up and they're comically bad as home favorites. This year alone, the Niners are 1-5 against the spread at home. Plus, Washington's defense is just fierce. Just look at Chase Young. I'm taking the football team to win outright 23-21. Now, let's look at another team that I haven't touched all year long, a team that had won 3 in a row against the spread and almost had a 4th until a botched snap ruined that. The Houston Texans have also won 2 of their last 3 and 3 of their last 5 outright and are generally playing better after they fired Bill O'Brien. They can put up points, and they're traveling to the lovely city of Chicago to face a Bears team that has been good to me when I pick against them, that is. The Bears are winless against the spread in their last 4 and losers of their last 6 straight up. They're giving 1.5, and I think the Texans cover that 26-19. I know when I say this, some of you may give me a little side eye, but just hear me out. The New York Jets have flown under the radar over the last month and a half, winning 3 of their last 4 against the spread and 4 of their last 6. They haven't won, although they really should have last week, but different story. But they're keeping games close. They're traveling to Seattle to face a Seahawks squad that is reeling and has won just 1 of their last 5 against the spread. I've got them taking it, but the Jets covering 25-17.
And after the break, we talk to Sage Steele about the shakeups at ESPN. I'm curious, what are things like in Bristol right now?
That's a great question. I will be honest with you and tell you that it's difficult. And you know what? It's difficult everywhere. We're not special in that way. It's just one of the only reasons, and forgive me for those of you who might be from this area, but one of the only reasons why I have been okay living in this area is because going to work every day, and in Bristol, it truly is a campus, and it's like a ghost town. And because no one's there, the only people that are there are essential personnel, and that's, people behind the scenes and the technical people who make us, sing and hum every single day. And like the parking lots are empty. The Starbucks is closed in the cafe. It's like a ghost town. And usually it's just so vibrant, and it's hard. And then you can't even be really around even your teammates. And SportsCenter is the only show that we can't do virtually. So we're actually going in there, versus, First Take or some of the other talk show type formats, Get Up. All the guests, for the most part, are coming from home because SportsCenter is so highly produced, and with video and graphics, it's just go, 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 go. We wouldn't be able to do any of that with a delay of any kind. So I've been on campus every single day pretty much since April, and it just kind of breaks my heart, We're thankful we're able to go to work though. I would be going nuts here at home with my 3 teenagers, and they would be going nuts with me here all the time too if I had to stick around and do it from home. So I'm very thankful. I'm just sad because it isn't that campus feel, and you know what? I don't know when we will get back to being what we were before. So be thankful, but I'm such a team person, Ralphie. I'm just such a people person, and I love going out there, and so we'll see. Perspective, right?
No, 100%. I think whether you're working, not working, 2020 has been stressful on many different levels for, virtually everybody. And it's interesting hearing you talking about that too, because, I don't know if you saw, but, one of your colleagues, Stephen A. Smith, was trending this week after he kind of clapped back at a fan over, the fan was saying, how come ESPN might be laying off all these people, but they're still paying Stephen's fat salary. And Stephen said, hey, wait a second, I'm trying to work to bring more money to the table so that we can employ more people and that we could keep this ship afloat. Did you see that interaction on Twitter? Did you have any reaction to it or no?
I've learned even more so. I knew it before for sure, but even more so now. Not everybody's going to be happy. Not everybody's going to be okay with what you're doing. So you just try to, personally, and as a company, we can't speak for the whole industry, but as ESPN, you try to do what you believe is best in that moment. I like that Stephen A., I hadn't heard that, stood up for himself, because that's not his fault, right? Stephen A. Is about as big of a personality as you'll get, and he works his what off every single day, doing so much for us. So I just think it's easy for people. What I try to remember is that usually when people throw shade or throw ugliness out there, it's usually not about you. They're usually dealing with something within, internally, something personally that is forcing them or causing them to lash out. So it's not an excuse for people's behavior at times, or maybe being insensitive and lashing out at Stephen A. or me. I get it all the time. It's not an excuse, but it is maybe a reason. So I try to just take a deep breath, and trust me, sometimes I gotta put the phone down, and it's like Ahmad used to say, don't push send, don't push send.
Leave it in the draft, leave it in the draft.
Right, it's probably saved my job a few times to not push send. Everybody's dealing with things, in certain ways, and I got beat up the other day for being thankful that the Big Ten decided to come back and play football. And I got clapped back from a couple of people who were like, you're so insensitive, football doesn't matter. And I understand that, but guess what? It does matter to a lot of people, and it is an escape from a very harsh reality for millions of people across this country. I think we can be sensitive and concerned and fearful even of many things in today's society, but also be happy for the people who are out there trying to be normal, trying to live out their dream on the football field, trying to entertain as Stephen A. Smith does every single day on TV. Why does it have to be two separate things? I think we can be both, and sensitive, but still going for it and living. That's how I'm living my life, carefully, but we gotta go. There's no guarantees for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Sage Steele from ESPN here on USA Today Sports. I'm Ralphie Aversa. Last question about ESPN. You mentioned how divided things are, and hopefully this Saturday, this Army-Navy game is something that can kind of unite everyone. How do you feel ESPN has handled this very complex 2020?
As well as we possibly could have. It's such a unique time for all of us. But if you think about it, I mean, as a sports network and the worldwide leader in sports, we are supposed to kind of lead the way, whether people like it or not. And everybody, no matter what we're doing, is always watching us. Even if people hate us, they're always going to watch us, right? I believe I know that we worked extremely hard to try to toe that line and to let people tell their stories, and let athletes tell their stories, even if we don't agree with them, because we all have our right to our own opinion on certain things. I do believe that at the end of the day, even before COVID-19 and this pandemic, we are a beautiful escape for so many people from their everyday realities. Think back to 9/11, almost 20 years ago, and what was that balance in a very different world, pre-social media, really? And when is the right time to talk about baseball or football or basketball again? We don't know. So we have tons of meetings and discussions every day on how we should do things. But at the end of the day, what we have found and what we have heard is that, when there are games, I mean, people want us to talk about those games and talk about those athletes. That's what our job has always been.
To compare it rather to 9/11 is interesting, because being here in New York and being a lifelong Yankees fan, when you mention 9/11 in sports, the first thing I'm going to think of is President Bush throwing out the first pitch at the World Series. Yes. And you think about if that happened now, and half the people would be saying what a great moment for America, and the other half of the people, or maybe less than half, whatever, there'd be a segment of it that would be saying, how dare the Yankees invite that guy, that Republican president, blah, 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 blah. And, I remember it being in high school, and it was just, there was none of that. It was just a very beautiful, unifying moment. And it's very interesting, at the very least, to see, how things have changed.
You're so right. And I was not in New York or anywhere near really on 9/11. I guess I was in Washington, D.C. working there then. But I remember sobbing watching that scene on my TV when President Bush went out, and what a first pitch that was, right? I mean, it was just on the money, and we were all together. Things have been so divided, and frankly, really ever since then. I mean, even before President Trump was in office, it's been divided for a while. And I agree with you, it would not be received nearly as well. Times have changed. Again, the social media part, everything has changed, and that does break my heart.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about Saturday's game. Do you think this is a chance for all of us to, unite, to see Army and Navy? Obviously a much different setting than, we've been used to for quite some time, with it being not on a neutral site and being at West Point.
Every year, I think it is a unifying moment. I've been able to go 2 of the last 3 years, and to bring my son and to teach him the importance of this game and the uniqueness of this game, because to me, this is the greatest rivalry in sports, not in football, not in college sports, in sports, because of the true meaning behind it for all these players. I do think we can come together, but that's a choice. Something I talk to my kids about all the time is there are many, many reasons to be upset and scared and angry and fearful and all these things. But again, happiness is a choice, and we can choose to put a few things aside for a few hours on Saturday when these young men are out there doing what they love, which is an escape from their reality, right? Because once they graduate, they're doing things with their lives a lot more important than what I'm doing. They're defending our freedom. So let's do it, if not for any other reason, put our crap aside and do it for these young men who are out there.
Coming up next, Luke. We chat with Luke Voight, Yankees first baseman, about his expectations for the team and more heading into the 2021 season. Saturday, we're getting ready for the 121st meeting between Army and Navy, a historic meeting because for the first time since World War II, this game is not going to be played on a neutral site. It'll be hosted by Army up at West Point. The game, of course, presented by USAA. You can win a trip to next year's game, by the way, by going to ArmyNavyHouse.com. Here to chat about that and much more is somebody who knows quite a bit about this game because he watched his brother as a defensive lineman for the Black Knights play in it from 2014 through 2017. However, you know him as the first baseman for the New York Yankees and your American League home run king from last season. Let's welcome into USA Today's Sports, number 59, Louis Linwood Voight III. Luke Voight, how are you, sir?
What an intro, brother. You killed that. I like it. But yes, before we get things go, I gotta, say one thing. I gotta say, go Army, beat Navy. So I gotta, represent my little bro. So.
All right. Other thing we want to get out of the way real quick. How's the foot? You dealt with, as your manager Aaron Boone said throughout the season, foot stuff. Eventually, you revealed it was basically a case of plantar fasciitis, and you got the PFP shot, I believe. How are things going on that front?
Yeah, I got that like about 3 or 4 days after the season. So, and I was in the walking boot. I call it the Big Ben walking boot. Big Ben's always in one, but it's going well. I just me and my wife just moved down to Florida too, so I've been able to work out at the facility, and we have great training staff, and they've been taking care of me, and I'm back running and doing stability and everything, and it feels great. So should be no problems going into 2021.
It's interesting, for you, as we mentioned, you played through this injury. You still led the American League in home runs. When you first, came to the Yankees and ended up, winning over the job at first base, you kind of endeared yourself to fans. And then I think this past season, playing through an injury even more. How much did those two factors, both, being the starting first baseman and being a fan favorite, play into, you playing through this injury throughout the 2020 season?
Yeah, this always goes back to I did this like Twitter poll, and everyone says I'm the first Yankees fan to play for the Yankees.
I believe that the quote was you look like you're the first person to look like a Yankees fan to play for the Yankees.
So there you go. That's how I'm going to answer that question. But I love it. It wasn't the same though. I'm used to those blue chances in the in the stands. When I hit home runs, just the cheers, and when teams come in, it's a tough atmosphere, and we miss it. It's obviously crazy not having them, but we want them back so bad. And there's so many fans that are watching from home, and it's not the same for them in the Bronx, and that's why they call it the jungle. And we need them back for next year, and hopefully we'll get them back. And I've always been a blue collar guy, and I wanted to, I finally got an opportunity, and I wanted to take it and run with it. And that's what I did.
Obviously, USAA is trying to send people to next year's Army-Navy game. You've been at the game before, rooting on your brother. What is being there in person? What is this game like?
I think it's the coolest, coolest event in the world. Obviously with all the, it's like an old school bloodbath game, man. And it's always close. It doesn't matter. The records are thrown out the door, and it was snowing one year. It was unbelievable. My brother ended up making a game-saving tackle. Tailgates are awesome. Just like all the atmosphere leading up to it. Usually it's the game of the week, college game day and everything. And I think it is this year too. But it's just awesome. And, those guys go out there and give it their all. And, you don't see that a lot in sports sometimes, I think. And it's my favorite sporting event. If you guys ever get a chance to go to it, you should go. It's unbelievable. And, it's just the whole antics that go on before when they march out on the field, the helicopters fly over, the jets fly over. It's almost like a Super Bowl. So it's pretty exciting. And I wish I could be there this year.
And coming up, you're not going to want to miss this. Victor Cruz joins our Mackenzie Salmon and relives one of the most memorable moments from Super Bowl 46. Super Bowl 46 in 2012 was a rematch of Tom Brady's Patriots and Eli Manning's Giants. Of course, it came 4 years after the G-Men upset the Pats in Super Bowl 42. Don't forget, the Pats went into that Super Bowl undefeated at 18-0. Interestingly enough, both games played out like mirror images of each other, and both games included catches that will certainly go down in infamy. Victor Cruz was on the field for Super Bowl 46 and got to witness one of those big moments. He recently sat down with our Mackenzie Salmon to relive it and answer a bit of trivia in a new segment that we're calling Backtrack.
I want to backtrack a little bit to go back to some of the most memorable moments of your career. Since you were on the field for one of these, your famous Giants wide receiver, I want your take. Which Super Bowl catch is more impressive and why? David Tyree versus the Pats or Mario Manningham's versus the Pats?
I mean, this is tough because obviously Mario was my guy, and like I was there for that one. I watched that one with my own eyes, so that's a different thing. But I mean, the David Tyree catch is historic, right? I mean, that thing goes You could literally, make that, you freeze frame this photo and put it in a statue in front of Giant Stadium. And I think no one would have any issues with that. I mean, so that catch really good. It's called The Catch for a reason. Rodney Harrison is still pretty upset about it. If you ask him today, I'm pretty sure about that. But yeah, I think that Tyree catch is the one. I mean, there's no disputing now.
For the main play, could you walk me through your experience on the field when it all went down? Because you said that was the one that you actually watched with your eyes.
So I remember, obviously, during that game, me and Hakeem were getting double teamed, especially on third downs. Like, we were getting double teamed the whole game. So we were picking our spots, obviously, making plays here and there. But we knew on that specific play that Mario was going to be the one. At least internally, it wasn't like discussing the huddle or anything. But I knew Mario was going to get the one-on-one. And if it stays one-on-one coverage, he's going to be the one to get the ball. Eli always threw to the one-on-one side. He gave us a shot always, no matter who you were. So I knew he was going to get the opportunity. Once I saw the ball go up and I saw him catch it and I saw him kind of lean and drag those 2 feet in, even in full speed, I was like, oh my God, he caught it. Like, this is it. We finally, that's the play we needed on this drive to continue, And then watching the replay, I was a little nervous because you just never know on that side. So I didn't know if he kept his feet in. Watching the replay, I was like counting his feet, 1, 2. And I let out the biggest fist pump because I knew we were good, and the rest is history, man. But that catch was incredible. I hit him like once a month and just say thank you every time.
I want to play a quick backtrack quiz. They say the Super Bowl goes by so fast that it can be a blur for some guys. So I want to see how well you can recall these facts. All right, I have very few of them, so I won't throw you too off track. 2011, who was the last team you lost to that season, and who was the quarterback?
The last team we lost to that season, I don't remember that at all.
You done?
Who do we lose to?
Washington.
I'm stumped on that one.
So you're fine. Washington. Okay, next question. How many points did the Falcons score in the wild card game against you guys?
Very few. 3, 7, 6. It was very few. I don't remember the exact number. I'm gonna go with 2. That's right. I knew it was very small. And it was like a safety. Was it a safety? It had to be a safety.
This was kind of a fun one. I just want to know how many people in the huddle told Ahmad Bradshaw not to score at the end of the game.
No one. Like, no one. I think Eli, if you watch the tape back, right? I didn't even. I mean, this goes to show you that just how, cerebral and how smart Eli is. Because I'm just lining up. Actually, I might have been on the sideline, but I wasn't even thinking like that they were going to let us score or score too early or whatever. I was just like, man, we got to get in the end zone. But if you look at Eli coming out of the huddle, he kind of stops and like he starts to tell Ahmad like to go back to him, but he didn't want Ahmad to be thinking about too many things when he hands him the ball. So he was just like, whatever. So when he handed him out the ball and the sea parted, Ahmad was like, wait, what? And then he tried to like stop, but then he just kind of, his momentum carried him in the end zone. And it was the most anticlimactic touchdown. I was just like, are we excited? Like, what's going on here?
All right, that's a wrap on Weekly Pulse. Don't forget this weekend, Army-Navy 121st meeting between the two, and the first time since World War II that the game is not being held on a neutral site. Surely another memorable chapter in a legendary rivalry. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey sports fans, if you want to see more videos like this, check out some of our other ones right here. And if you like what you see, make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more from USA Today Sports.